right, what's going on? Hopefully people are doing well. So the thing I want to talk about today is the price of cars in the last, say, like 6 months that coincided with the lockdown and quarantine. Because if any of you have been car shopping in the last couple months, you've noticed that the cars have gotten significantly more expensive. And I don't really understand why that is. Because, you see all the stuff about, people losing their jobs and things like that, and it's just really, really strange. It seems like right now, and this is a very unscientific method, there was no real research, and this is kind of just like, taking a look at just cars I typically look for. I think most car people, they do the thing where they, have like a routine of like cars that they just always are checking on to see what the prices are at. And the ones, at least that I'm looking at, are all roughly between 10 to 20% higher than what they were in February. Now, some of that's, you do get into like, the driving months for those of us that live north of the Mason-Dixon line. But there's got to be something more to it than that. The prime example I was used is my just M3. I've been looking for an E92 M3 for quite some time now, ever since probably the fall of last year. And there was one that I found in the early part of this year, like January, February. And it was a black 2008 6-speed with 92,000 miles. Bearings weren't done on it, but it was, a very solid car. I, had very simple modifications I liked a lot. And the guy, we were negotiating for a bit, and it got to the point where I was offering him 16 grand and he wouldn't take less than 16.5. I have a friend, one of the ones who I consult with a lot of times. He's been on some videos here recently, just the one with the car guy grips, my buddy Alex. And he was like, don't give that to him. The car is not worth it. So I'm like, all right, I want it, but whatever, I'll pass. So I passed on it, and then, still looking at cars, and then I just noticed that, the price of cars kept going up and up and up. And, then when my friend who got that 2011 competition coupe 6-speed, I don't want to say like kind of like what he paid for, because it's not really my business to put out there. But we were saying like, what, you probably overpaid a little bit, but the car is probably worth maybe like 24, 25. But then when you look, there just weren't any other 6-speed competition coupes out there, and the ones that were going for a lot more than he paid for. So it's like, what, maybe this is the actual just the case of where the market's at now. So I ended up actually, when I got my M3, I feel like I overpaid for it a little bit, but at the same time, just looking at the market and what's out there, there's not a whole lot, and plus because mine had the bearings on as well, and just even after we came to an agreement, the guy showed me his messages when we were meeting, and he's just like, yeah, these are all people who like contacted me offering to buy the car. And, if you look at things like the Vipers, because that's another car I look at quite frequently, the Gen 5 Vipers, now it's really hard to find a good one for under $100,000, and you used to be able to get them for, 70s, 80s. And the one that I guess I shop for the most is the Gen 2, the GTS, and I actually almost bought one of those in between my Corvette and my M3, just, to have one, because I liked the car. It wasn't my favorite, as I've said before, but it was definitely a cool car. And I could have bought the car for 33. It was a red GTS with white stripes that had been painted on. I mean, it was in a little bit rough shape. It had been in one minor accident, no airbags deployed, and just, resprayed the front bumper. But anyways, I was like, you know what? I'll pass. And now there's not a Gen 2 GTS out there that you can find for under 40. If you can find a Gen 2 GTS for under 40 grand, buy it. You will be able to flip that thing right now for more than that. So, got kind of thinking, well, so why are prices going up? And I think, a couple things. The first thing is I think people are just bored in quarantine, and for me, like, that's one thing you can do that doesn't require you to be with a lot of people. And, I know that just over this channel, like, me and Jason haven't been able to get out as many videos, obviously, with, like, actual cars, and, a lot of it's been just kind of me, talking like this, but part of this is because, we, just with the way the states work and things like that, and since, he doesn't live right with me, it's a close drive, but, both our states are dealing with the, the quarantine stuff and reopening and different ways. Anyways, so being in quarantine, going around in cars was like the one thing you could do by yourself. So I think that really had people just like either holding on to their cars or like, what? Now's a great time to buy like a fun car because I can't go to the bars or do anything else. So a lot of people gave into their impulses to buy a sports car. The other thing, and then it kind of goes in with that. So this is, I guess, part, one A, is that I think people were fairly confident with where, excuse me, where the economy was actually going and headed. So I don't think people were really, even though the unemployment numbers are terrible, the loss, like the businesses closing and whatnot is awful. But I think overall people understood that, what, this is due to the China virus and not due to any sort of underlying conditions. I guess my only real reason for saying that is so I am in technology staffing, and back in 2008, companies would be telling us, hey, we don't, we want to hire, we just don't have the money. And now they're just telling us, yeah, we want to hire, and we're going to just as soon as things open back up and we get a better understanding of where we're at. So I think the confidence in the economy also spurred some people to yeah, you know what? It's a good time to buy a car. I'm pretty confident with what the future holds. Obviously, unfortunately, it didn't work out for everyone. As you can see, the unemployment numbers are still crazy high. And I guess the last thing, and this is the one that's the most interesting, is misplaced and misuse of government funds. So we've all seen, with the Paycheck Protection Plan or whatever it's called, the PPP or whatever, and then just all these government giving out kind of just free money. And you have seen, if you watch a lot of sort of some of the car forums or just your jalopniks and things like that, that there have been a lot of people getting arrested that have been buying exotic cars. And so I think that's doing two things. One, it's buying up a lot of the inventory that's out there, so people are asking higher prices. But then two, it just shows that people have a lot of this extra money because the government, in all of their glory, just oh yeah, we'll just throw money at this problem rather than trying to actually fix it. But that's total different discussion. That one that probably is not belong on a car channel. But it is interesting though to see how that stuff all sort of is intertwined. But I don't know. I just thought this was something interesting as we were coming out of the sort of driving season, and there's still, as of right now, because I still check the M3 markets quite a bit because I've just kind of intrigued by it, and I can still name probably 80% of the cars that are out there on the M3 market right now. I have either looked at or contacted the seller. And it's crazy because nothing really there is moving, but there's no new inventory coming available, so the prices are staying high. I don't know, I guess, going forward if they will stay this high. I hope not, I guess. Even if I end up losing some money on the M3 or whatnot, I would prefer for car prices to go down a little bit. But anyways, I appreciate it. This is kind of more as some of this kind of random thoughts on a topic that was interesting to me and that we've been discussing as a kind of a group of friends. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. But we will see you next time.